Okay, good morning to Tim Sherwood. Right, we know that was a huge win for Arsenal. Manchester City lost, so did Liverpool. They're 6 points clear, but that's actually of Chelsea now. They're only 12 games in, but you're getting the feeling that this title race might be close to being over.
Yeah, I thought it was a massive game of football. I really did. Not only for the 3 points, the emotion of a North London derby. I know what it's like myself, you know, how that can take you forward. They've got tough games coming up. Chelsea next week are the nearest challengers at the moment. And I think that it was just such a huge result. It stopped the noise, because the noise would have been, well, Gabriel's injured, you can't do it without him. You know, all the problems in the past where they haven't been able to deal with without Saliba, no Odegaard, Declan Rice missing a few times, haven't been able to cope. Now, they've coped this year. They've ticked every box. When someone's been missing and no striker, Marino plays up front, they go on and win. It's not only a win yesterday, it was a statement win. It was a footballing lesson what they give Tottenham yesterday. It was embarrassing. An abject performance from Tottenham, but incredible performance and more than 3 points. I know it's only 3 points on the table, but it's the confidence to know without the big man, the leader who was sitting in the stands there, you saw him with the Arsenal scarf on. For them to go, and Kepier comes in, that looks like, I mean, he didn't get tested, to be perfectly honest, but it just looked seamless. Their squad is so big now. They've got quality in all areas of the field. The only team, they can only shoot themselves in the foot, and I don't think they will do that now. And I said it at the weekend when I was on Soccer Saturday. If they win this game against Tottenham, they will win the Premier League, because they will go and beat Chelsea now. They will go on a run. I don't see them losing enough games. They're solid at the back. They score goals up front. When they can't score from open play, they score from set pieces. They got a manager. The question marks would have been, well, they've never done it before. And I still say, you know, once it comes to March, April, there's always going to be question marks because they haven't done it. They haven't had that experience. But you have to do it sooner rather than later. And I think now's the time for them to do it. And when they actually do it, I think it's a problem for every other team, because this young side will go on and go on and go on, and they can dominate for years to come.
Is Eze now top class? Because when we talk about number 10s, just for England this is, you always say Bellingham, Foden, Palmer. Before you kind of mention Eze, you start thinking, oh, Eze could maybe play out left or something like that. Is Eze now in that bracket?
Yeah, I think we can get a bit carried away because he scored a hat-trick in North London derby. It's massive. It's massive for Eze. It's massive for Arsenal. But if you asked me before, who's the one of the most talented number 10s, an actual number 10 who's going to play in that central area, I would say Eze. I would say the guy's 6'3". He's quick. He plays off both feet. He's got everything. He's got the vision. You saw with the Declan Rice chance before they scored, and he just dinks it over the top. He's the most talented number 10, in my opinion, we have in England. If this boy cannot play if we're going to play with a number 10, I'm not sure if Thomas Tuchel wants to do that in the World Cup. If we play with a number 10, it has to be Eze. In my opinion, I think he's got everything. He can score goals, he can create goals, and he's got the legs, and he can run, and he's strong. He's got the power around himself. So yes, we can get carried away. If a Tottenham fan there turning up to that game at the Emirates yesterday, if you're going to lose the game, please don't let Eze score, because he's someone who's you had in your door, and then all of a sudden he's been taken away and gone to your neighbour. For him to score a hat-trick was rubbing salt in the wounds. Credit to the boy. Didn't look like he was bothered with the atmosphere. He knows the noise surrounding that game for him. He just took it on his shoulders. And big players do that. You know, we just go, it's about me. I'm going to play in that number 10 position. If you ask all the fans watching in, where is a number 10 operate? Eze showed you where a number 10 operates yesterday. But Thomas Frank and the Tottenham players should have known he's going to be around that area of the D, central of the pitch, and try and eliminate him.
Well, I'll back that up, because we'll bring you the shot map, actually, which shows exactly where it was. All of his shots there from pretty much the same place. Yeah. So if you're the Tottenham manager, which you once were, should you have been able to deal with that?
We got Bentancur and Paulinho. Their game is to break the game up. That's what they're good at. They should be operating around that area. They're probably leaving it to Mickey van der Ven and Romero and Danso, who played three at the back for whatever reason they did. and they're all leaving it to each other. But Eze knows the distances. He can work in tight areas. If you slide that ball, which Arsenal do, disguise pass, slide it in behind the midfield, he can get turned on his back foot, and all of a sudden he's facing them. The defenders don't want to come out, because if they do, he dinks the ball over the top like he did for Declan Rice. And if you don't come out to him, the midfield are trying to win the ball from the wrong area. Then they're coming back towards their own goal, and he manipulates the ball. He uses his body, and he gets his shots off. He's too quick. He's too clever. An outstanding performance from Arsenal and from that man, Eze.
What lessons can Tottenham learn, not from how to defend Eze, but the fact that they almost had him as a Tottenham player, and then he goes to their arch rivals?
Get the deal done. When you had an opportunity to get the deal done. Look at the players who have come in and operate, who supposedly operate in his position. Likes of Tell wants to be a number 10, or he plays out wide. You've got Xavi Simons, who didn't even play yesterday. You've got Odegaard. They waste so much money on these players who are 30, 40, 20 million pounds. And they just think, well, we'll develop them into top-class players. You're not. Look at the money there. Look at that money they've spent for them players. All right, Kudus has done okay. He's done okay. What's it, Eze? 67 million, one of these 65 million. You'd rather pay an extra 10 million for a make-the-difference player. You know he's going to be a make-the-difference player. Just get the deal done as soon as you can. Don't give the opportunity to other clubs hire you in the league to come in and nick your players. That's exactly what Arsenal have done. Tottenham should have done the deal. Get the deal done before Arsenal pick up the phone to Eze. Mikel rings him. He's in Mallorca. We saw the interview he done with Idris Elba. And just say, come and join Arsenal. OK, come, put the phone down. Deal done. Ring up Tottenham. Say I'm no longer coming. How can that be? I think it happens time and time again. Save your money on average players, what you keep buying. Let the academy boys be the stocking fillers and fill up your squad, and make the difference money on make the difference players like him. Like Semenyo now, go and get him, Tottenham. Don't wait for a Manchester City. Don't wait for Liverpool. Don't wait for Man United, whoever it is. Go and get him before everyone else comes to the party. Don't give him a decision then. It's frustrating. I think you can tell that.
Yeah, Arsenal were decisive on that deal, and they were brilliant yesterday. Sky Sports are partnered with analyses, and out where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. If you want to represent your club, scan the QR code here or visit the Sky Sports app for more details. We are now with a happy Arsenal fan, Luke Henry, and
focusing on Spurs and specifically Thomas Frank. It'll be interesting to know what the headlines in London are saying about him now, because we went from singing his praises at the beginning of the season to now looking at how Spurs have really faltered and looked very lackluster in some big games and big moments. So in terms of bigger pictures, are there any worries there?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I really think today was embarrassing. He embarrassed himself to start with, Thomas Frank, with what he tried to put in place, really, which, to be fair, being there was, when you got the team here, you understand the back five, Palhinha and Bentancur, that front three, which would do what they could, I guess, with the ball, with maybe one of the wing backs, depending on where the ball was. So they would attack with 4, defend with 11. He said that the plan was to press really high and to be aggressive and to go. To press high, you need Arsenal to actually have the ball in their own box, or to have a goal kick, which was never the case. Spurs touched the ball twice in the Arsenal box in the first half. They had 14 passes in the Arsenal half. Not in the last 30, in the Arsenal half, 14 passes in the whole of 48 minutes of the first half. That's one pass. I mean, it's embarrassing. It was an embarrassing performance from him and from the team. And he changed at half-time with Xavi Simons may as well not have been on the pitch, really, for the whole second half. So yes, they scored that goal that Arsenal gifted them in a way, because Zubimendi should never get hold of the ball for so long, should have let the ball go before that. But I thought Thomas Frank got everything wrong today, and it's not the first time. We talked about how bad they were against Chelsea at home and how no threat they offered. He's got no patterns of play going forward. Attacking wise, there is nothing. And when his team doesn't defend well, which they did at the start of the season, but not so much anymore, then they have nothing going for them. And I know he needs energy from the fans, energy from the players. That's how his Brentford team was so good, right? Because they had all that energy, especially at home. It was a fortress. You don't get that same way in a big club. Players don't respond the same way, fans don't respond the same way, they've got other expectations, they're very demanding, far more than at Brentford, for example. And right now, he can't get what he wants, and he can't get it right either. And today, you can understand maybe why you would want to go for a back five and be solid and compact. But you go with a back five again and those 2 sixes in front of that, and you leave all that space for Merino and Eze and Trossard and Saka. It was a walk in the park for Arsenal, and it shouldn't have never been. And for me, this is all on Thomas Frank.
Stevie, putting Arsenal's brilliance aside, though, do you think Thomas Frank, as Jules said, did himself no favours just starting with how he lined up his team?
Yeah, I think Jules hit the nail on the head, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, when we talk about patterns of play, you know, the patterns of play, the reason you use them is because when things are not going well, you can revert to them. Things that you train every day and work on every day, you know, ball's going wide. When it goes wide, it comes in. When it comes in, it's a quick flick. All of those things you work on for when things are not going well. You know, we'd all love to get a team and just throw them out on the field, and it's Brazil or the great Dutch teams or the great Real Madrid teams where they can just play, and every coach would love to be able to say, you know what, you go and show us what quality you've got. But not everybody can do that. And so yes, you have to be organised, but you also have to have a structure going forward. And I have to agree with Jules. They, not only in this game, but recently, have looked as though they have no structure going forward whatsoever. We figured that he would get them organised after the last manager, which he did, which is the easy bit. You know, coaching, the easy bit is filling holes, keeping it tight. Where should you be? The toughest part of coaching is the other side of the game. How do you get everybody forward? How do we do it correctly? How do we do it quickly? And then how do we put the ball in the net? And today, he got both wrong. And that's worrying.
As a former player, but also I have to imagine if you're a fan of Spurs and you're watching this game and you're getting run over all over the field, and every time they pan to your manager, this guy is over here with the assistants. They're looking at the tablet, right? and they're discussing, and they're doing the thing and the tablet, and then they're pointing over there, and the tablet over here, and I'm like, throw the tablet away, dude. The answers are not there.
Yeah.
The game is right out there in front of you. In front of you. The answers are not there. If you're having to look at your tablet 10 times during the first half to try to break it down and figure out what's going on, then you have issues. The answers are not here. The answers are out there on the field, and you have to make those decisions on the run. And what I saw was a guy with a blank stare. And when you're a player and you see your manager who's diving into the tablet and has a blank stare when you look at him, guess what? If he's not sure,
You're not sure.
then you're not sure. At the very least, you got to fake until you make it. At the very least, you have to portray a sense of, I know what I'm doing, this is the game plan, and this is how we're going to execute it. But every time you look to the silence, he's over here on the tablet, you lost me.
There's not a player that ever played the game when the manager's on the touchline, shouting your name, looking at you, pointing the finger, telling you to buck your ideas up. There's not a player that wants that. And there's not a player, almost every single player reacts to that. As Ali said, they certainly don't react to some guy with his head stuck in a tablet.
The future of Ethan Nwanery's potential loan move is suddenly uncertain, as Arsenal remain wary of repeating past setbacks caused by injuries. According to recent reports, the club is open to sending the young midfielder out on loan this winter, but the idea raises immediate questions. Nwanery has become the talk of the moment after a report from the Daily Mail suggested that Arsenal are considering a temporary move for the 18-year-old. Despite his limited minutes this season, the thought of letting him leave, even temporarily, comes with significant doubts. Back in October, Mikel Arteta publicly insisted that Nwanery would have plenty of opportunities to play, pointing to the fact that the teenager had already been called upon when Martin Odegaard was injured. "I don't know, but I don't work with expectations," Arteta said at the time. "I work with what the players can give in the context of where the team is at that moment." Ethan played 2 Premier League matches early on because Martin was out. He's played in other competitions and he'll play more. Yet the reality has been very different. Nwaneri has logged fewer than 500 minutes this season, appearing in just 5 of Arsenal's 11 Premier League games, none of them as a starter. His only starts came in the 2 EFL Cup wins over Port Vale and Brighton, and in the 3-0 Champions League victory against Slavia Prague. The arrival of Ebereki Eze and the promotion of Max Daumann have tightened competition even further. And despite injuries to Odegaard, Bukayo Saka, and Noni Madueke, Nwaneri's pathway has only narrowed. It's easy to forget how young he still is. At 18, and having first debuted at just 15, like Daumann, these are formative years where consistent playing time is crucial. The busy festive period could open that door, but with Odegaard, Madueke, and Kai Havertz all nearing their returns, there's a real chance Nwaneri could slide even further down the pecking order. This is why a January loan sounds logical on paper, but it also sets off alarm bells. Arsenal's season has already been shaped by injuries for the second year in a row, and squad depth has never felt more essential. A single setback among the attacking players over the holiday fixture run could thrust Nwaneri back into an important role almost overnight. The more sensible approach may be to reassess in the summer, once the squad naturally reshapes and the club have a clearer picture of their needs heading into 2025. Only then would a loan feel more secure, ensuring Nwaneri actually gets the minutes he needs rather than risking another stalled development. Even then, nothing is guaranteed. Supporters will remember Serge Gnabry's loan to West Brom, intended to push him closer to first-team football, but ultimately a move that derailed his progress before he rebuilt his career in Germany. Arsenal's recent history with loans has been mixed at best, and too often unsuccessful. For now, the club must weigh the immediate needs of the squad against the long-term growth of one of their brightest prospects. Whether a loan becomes the right option, or another cautionary tale, remains to be seen. But the complexity of Nwaneri's situation extends beyond simply playing time and squad depth. Inside the club, there is an ongoing debate about how quickly young talents should be exposed to the pressures of elite-level football. Some staff members argue that Nwaneri's technical level is already above many players his age and that keeping him close to Arteta's structure will accelerate his development. Others believe that without consistent starts, and without a clear pathway to earn them, his progress could plateau. The uncertainty has also stirred conversation among supporters and pundits. Several former Arsenal players have expressed concern that the club may be repeating old patterns, where promising youngsters become trapped between first-team aspirations and inconsistent minutes. Others, however, believe the club is being careful for the right reasons, protecting a player who still needs physical development before facing the demands of weekly Premier League battles. This internal and external pressure has placed added scrutiny on Arteta's handling of young talents this season. While he has been praised for trusting academy graduates in the past, the balance has become harder to maintain now that Arsenal are competing on multiple fronts and aiming for silverware. Every decision carries weight. Resting senior players risks losing points, while overusing inexperienced teenagers risks injury or decline in confidence. There is also the broader question of what kind of loan would actually benefit Nwaneri, should the club eventually decide to pursue one. A move to a Premier League side fighting relegation could offer minutes, but expose him to a demanding environment that prioritizes survival over development. A championship loan, on the other hand, might provide consistent matches, but at the cost of adjusting to a more physical style that does not always align with Arsenal's tactical identity. European options have been mentioned as well, though not confirmed. The possibility of joining a club in the Netherlands or Germany, leagues known for nurturing young talent, has been discussed quietly among observers. Yet Arsenal are hesitant, given how unpredictable such moves can be and how often they fail to produce the expected results. Meanwhile, Nwaneri himself remains focused and professional, according to those around the training ground. He is said to be eager for opportunities, but not frustrated or discouraged. The coaching staff admire his attitude, which only complicates the decision further. He is doing everything right, and still his future remains uncertain. As Arsenal approach the January window, the club finds itself at a crossroads. The next few weeks will likely be decisive, not just for Nwaneri's short-term career, but for how Arsenal choose to manage their most gifted prospects in an era of high expectations and relentless schedules. Any decision made now will be examined closely, not only because of what it means for Nwaneri, but because it will signal how the club intends to balance ambition with development as they move into the next phase of Arteta's project. Arsenal now face a difficult setback. Piero Hincapié may have to step into the North London derby under less than ideal circumstances after Gabriel's injury blow. The club is hoping that Hincapié's long late return trip to North London won't affect his readiness to replace Gabriel against Tottenham, because losing the Brazilian for such a crucial match is a major hit to Mikel Arteta's plans. Arsenal have already been forced to cope with key absences at various stages of the season, but Gabriel missing the derby presents a challenge of a very different magnitude. Naturally, the focus shifts to who will fill the gap on the left side of Arsenal's defense, and for many, the most logical answer is Piero Hincapié. The summer signing impressed during his only start for the club so far, an outstanding display at left centre-back in the League Cup win over Brighton. That night, he partnered with Christian Mosquera, who is also an option for Arteta on Sunday. One possible configuration would see William Saliba move to the left, with Mosquera taking his place on the right, depending on how heavily Hincapié's international travel weighs on Arteta's decision. And that travel is far from insignificant. The Ecuadorian defender is currently away with his national team. He captained Ecuador during their 0-0 draw with Canada, helping secure the clean sheet. But the real concern comes with his final international fixture. Ecuador face New Zealand in New Jersey in the early hours of Wednesday morning, UK time. The match kicks off at 1:30 a.m. and is expected to finish around 4 a.m. Only after that will Hincapié board his flight back to England, meaning he won't arrive in London until Wednesday afternoon at the earliest. From there, he will have just a handful of days to recover, settle back in, and prepare for one of the most intense fixtures of the season. The slight silver lining is that the derby falls late in the weekend, giving him as much time as possible to reintegrate. Still, the timing of his return is far from ideal and adds yet another layer of uncertainty to Arsenal's defensive preparations ahead of a match that could define their momentum for weeks to come. Beyond the logistical headache, Arteta and his staff must also consider the physical and tactical demands that a North London derby imposes. It is not the sort of match where a defender can arrive underprepared, particularly against a Tottenham side that has looked sharp in attack this season. Any hesitation, any lapse in intensity caused by travel fatigue, could be costly. Inside Arsenal, there is a quiet concern that the club may once again be walking a tightrope with its defensive depth. Over the past 2 seasons, injuries at the back have forced Arteta into uncomfortable choices, and Gabriel's setback reopens a conversation that the club hoped was behind them. The manager has repeatedly emphasized the importance of continuity across the defensive line, especially given how central the high defensive line and controlled build-up are to Arsenal's identity. Gabriel and Saliba have been at the core of that stability, and disrupting it inevitably changes the team's rhythm. Analysts close to the club have noted that Hincapié's profile fits the role well, confident under pressure, quick across the ground, and capable of progressing the ball with either foot. However, they also caution that he is still adapting to the Premier League's pace and physicality. Throwing him straight into a derby environment may accelerate his integration, but it also carries risk. Supporters have expressed mixed reactions as well. Many are eager to see Hincapié given a real opportunity, believing his style suits Arsenal's long-term plans. Others worry that asking him to deliver immediately, under difficult circumstances, could place unnecessary pressure on a player still in the early stages of adjusting to English football. The timing of Gabriel's injury also complicates Arsenal's broader goals. With a congested winter schedule approaching and the title race tightening, every match takes on heightened importance. Dropping points against Tottenham could shift momentum, not just in the standings but in confidence across the squad. It also forces Arteta to rethink how he manages minutes for defenders who have already logged heavy workloads this season. Club insiders say the staff have been preparing contingency plans for weeks, anticipating scenarios where international duties and injuries overlap. Yet even the best planning can be stretched thin when travel delays and late-night kickoffs are added to the equation. In the coming days, the medical and performance teams will conduct assessments to determine exactly how ready Hincapié is for Sunday's showdown. Arteta is expected to make a late decision, balancing long-term health with short-term necessity. The hope is that the Ecuadorian arrives in good condition, responds well to training, and can at least offer a reliable solution in Gabriel's absence. What remains undeniable is that Arsenal enter the derby under a new layer of pressure, forced to adapt, to trust their depth, and to test the resilience that has been a defining theme of their season so far.